What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Elementary Season 5, Episode 16, Fidelity. So, this is how you take a very interesting setup from the last episode and totally ruin it. Because, I mean, honestly, just, first of all, you make it mainly about Sherlock and Kitty, and just what happened there. Too many scenes where it feels like it's just kind of cutting off the main plot and saying, oh, let's take a step away from the case, and let's talk about this. Because, if there's one thing I know Sherlock Holmes is, it's a feeling, caring person who's upset that his friend didn't tell him about stuff. Have you read a Sherlock Holmes book? Have you watched a Sherlock Holmes movie? Have you watched any other Sherlock Holmes shows? Have you watched your own Sherlock Holmes show from like the first couple seasons? I don't think you have. He's a high-functioning sociopath. It's his self-proclaimed title. While he does have friendships, we have seen him care about people before, it's always people that benefit him. After Kitty left, he shouldn't have cared anymore. If there's one thing that just really bugs me about the show from time to time, it's how much they try to make him a normal person. Besides just the fact that they have completely nerfed his detective abilities, because, you go watch Sherlock, the BBC version, and he's solving cases as easy as this one without even blinking. He just looks at it, he's like, oh, got it all figured out, I've already solved this case like 3 weeks in advance, but I'm going to set this whole long game, chess game in place just so I can solve this murder. That's what he does. When's the last time he's done that? Never. We came very close in this episode. We came very close to a moment like that, but in truth, it's just because he saw an article. Because they're talking about the ravings of that one guy who was off his meds and was just spouting all this stuff. And so he's talking about, Chinese man, some toilet bomb, and then a pyramid of Giza and the treasure buried inside. And he listens to those like, we don't need to. I already know what it is. And then shows him an article. So it's like, it was so close, it could have been like, oh no, he knows something. But the truth is, he just happened to read an article that happened. That's all it was. It wasn't any detective skill involved. It was just, no, he read an article that happened to mention the same exact thing that the guy was spouting. That's all it was. No detective work involved, no sort of figuring things out, no clues, no connecting the dots. It was just as simple as, oh, hey, I remember reading an article about that. And this happened 3 years ago. I think these two things may possibly be connected. I am the greatest detective in the world, so chances are they probably are connected, but yeah, it would only take somebody with my brain power to figure something like that out. Nobody else could figure out anything like that. And so, that's the type of thing we get. We get simple deductions that pretty much anybody can figure out. And then we get all this stuff about caring and feeling, and oh, Kitty left, and she never talked to him, and she stopped communicating with him, and oh, they lost touch, and she had a kid, and he only cared about her happiness, but she didn't tell him whenever she got happy, and oh, well, that means that they must not be friends anymore. Sherlock Holmes, ladies and gentlemen, the man of a million feelings. Who knew? Not me. I didn't know that was all Sherlock Holmes was about. I thought for sure he was a detective that had almost no feelings at all, that didn't care. But we see clearly in this show we were wrong about that. This is the true detective Sherlock Holmes. This is what... No, 1,000 times no. I'm sorry, but look, I understand you can change characters a little bit. You can change them, you can have your own versions, you can have them doing slightly different things. But this is like just completely making a character somebody new. This is taking the essence of a character. This is taking the essence of who Sherlock Holmes is and saying, screw that, we're going to just make this entirely new character that's not nearly as good as a detective, not nearly as emotionally detached from everybody, not nearly as sick and twisted as the other Sherlock Holmes. No, this guy he's normal. He's very normal. He has feelings just like you and me. He's not nearly as good as detectives. He's not able to figure things out without blinking and without even having to think. No, it's whatever. This guy is just normal. That's all it is. Because how else would they be able to throw random cases at us that take no detective ability whatsoever to solve, and then expect Sherlock Holmes to not figure it out? Well, you have to make him more normal. You have to make him more normal, else these cases would just fly by. We wouldn't even have a show. Or you could write better cases. I don't understand this. The case is solved because the mother of the guy who is responsible, he films this little thing with people, putting in what looks like a nuclear bomb in Iran. It's supposed to spark a war between the U.S. and Iran because they are supposedly just breaking one of the rules about nuclear weapons. That is solved because you hear a voice in the background saying, Cammy, and apparently that's some sort of word for, oh, just a little, and that's all it takes for, or it's the freaking name of the dog that his mom owns. Wow. That's some serious detective work right there. I mean, you reach down to pet the dog, and you see the name tag, and then you realize, oh, I'm a great detective. I figured this out and nobody else could. Because nobody else in this freaking FBI and the DIA, none of them managed to look at the dog, look at the name tag, and see Cammy and think, oh, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe, the Cammy in the video is something different. Only Sherlock Holmes can figure that out, everyone. Only Sherlock. We're all too stupid to see that. Everybody else is too stupid to look at the dog. Do you see my frustration? Do you see why this show doesn't work? Because the writers somehow don't. The writers somehow keep doing stuff like this. There was an episode earlier this season where somebody was in the trunk of the car, and obviously it's the woman that they're trying to locate. It's the missing woman that they've been trying to locate this entire time. But the police think, oh, it's got to be the husband of the person that's responsible for all this, because they were kind of in cahoots, and so for some reason she put him, he's like twice her size, she put him in the trunk of the car. That makes a ton of sense. No, it's just so Sherlock looks smart. Because if you make the detectives that dumb, if you make the NYPD, if you make the FBI, if you make the CIA, NSA, DIA, if you make all of them stupid, then yeah, your Sherlock Holmes looks like a freaking genius. Or, just a suggestion, you could actually make your Sherlock Holmes a genius. I just don't get it. I mean, you had such a good setup. You had such a good setup. It was intense. It was like something deeper is going on here. There's something more to this case. And it just turns out to be some guy working in the DIA who apparently had this whole plan in place to help people, and so he was killing people off to hide stuff, but then all of a sudden he put something in his video because he wants Iran and USA to go to war, and it just felt like none of it connected. At first it felt like it was all connected. It felt like the death of that guy, the death of all these people. Ooh, they're all connected. There's all one person do. And then they throw in this whole government plot and all of this stuff that apparently this guy Anson wanted to do. And just like, where did this all come from? And then it's not even Sherlock Holmes that finds him. The FBI and DIA managed to find him and find him in his mom's house. And they show up after the scene. Why? Because we can't have Sherlock Holmes showing up first. We can't have him look that good. He's smart, but he's not that smart. Because he's just like you or me. He's just as smart as you or me. I don't know. I truly don't know. I feel like I haven't really even talked about details, because honestly, the details would probably get me more frustrated than I already am about this episode as a whole. But just a lot of it doesn't work because it doesn't feel like Sherlock Holmes. I tune in to watch this show because I want to see a clever idea such as Sherlock Holmes if he were in modern day times in New York. That would make sense. That's a clever idea. Think about Monk. But this is Sherlock Holmes. This is the Sherlock Holmes. It's not somebody who's like Sherlock Holmes and is OCD. No, this is the actual Sherlock Holmes in New York. That's a clever idea. Except you don't have Sherlock Holmes anymore. You don't have the greatest detective in the world anymore. Because the cases he's going up against are mediocre. The cases he has to tackle every week are just simple cases now. How can you have the greatest detective in the world not pit him against some of the most difficult cases to solve ever? They used to. First couple seasons, I remember some very difficult cases where the NYPD were stumped because it was actually a difficult case. Now it's like the NYPD are stumped because they're just idiots. And now they're just stupid because Sherlock Holmes is solving everything. But even he's gotten dumber because these cases are taking longer and longer to solve, even though there's very simple cases. So unless there's some sort of plot twist at the end of the season that, like, somehow everybody's been infected with some sort of drug that makes them slower and not as intelligent, unless this is all meant to be something, this is probably the worst season ever. Like, of all the seasons. And that's saying something, because last season wasn't too great either. You know, there were some interesting things with Sherlock's dad, but for the most part, the episodes were fairly pedestrian. You know, they weren't anything really special. It wasn't until the end of the season that I realized just how bad the season was, because all the stuff with the dad came crashing to an embarrassing close. And if that was your most interesting thing in the season, and it came to that, came to something stupid. And so I look back at the rest of the season like, you know what, without that in there, it kind of sucked. And so now this season is just as bad. You know, it's actually getting worse. The cases are getting worse. The cases are getting more easy to solve. The cases are just oh so plain and oh so simple. But Sherlock Holmes is the only one smart enough to solve them. And that's the only thing they care about. They don't care about giving us good cases. They don't care about trying to make us think. They don't care about us watching the show and trying to figure stuff out alongside Sherlock. They're just like, watch Sherlock Holmes solve it, guys, because he's a smart person. And who cares if you're smart enough to figure it out? Who cares if the NYPD are smart enough to figure it out? We're going to make sure Sherlock's the only one in the show that can figure it all out, because that's all our show's about. So, long story short, like I said, I hate this episode because of how simple everything was, how much it didn't feel like Sherlock, because it made him seem like he was a normal person when he's not. You know, those lines that they throw in, like, friendships have never come easy to me. I'm like, whatever. You know, from all I can tell, you're a very normal person, just like everybody else. So, all of it just, it's too easy, it's too simple, it's really dumb. I don't know what else I can say about it. If you want to get into more details, you know, let me know. We can talk about it, discuss all that good stuff. But I, frankly, do not want to go into details because I am too pissed off about the episode in general. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe for more elementary reviews. See you guys in the next one.